Hello everyone, and welcome back to Excellent Gamers.
Today we're going to talk about one of our favorite games,
Valkyria Chronicles series for PlayStation 3 and PSP.
Absolutely.
3 games in total, and we have quite a bit to say about all these games, so...
Almost too much, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, but where can we start? Can I ask you where you actually found out about these games?
I found out about the series, the first one particularly, from you. I have the games I like the most, like the Tale series and yeah, my favorite games, but you have your own, and Valkyria Chronicles was a game that you really wanted me to play, so I did. I picked it up, and it was one of those games that I really couldn't put down, because I wanted to finish it. It was a very simple game to play, but very entertaining. It's very cutscene heavy, but the gameplay is really fun as well. So.
You told me countless times that you couldn't put it down, and there was also a reason for that, because you thought the game just moved forward with such a momentum naturally, and you really didn't have to put it down because you thought the game felt short in a way, like you could play it so easily.
Yeah,
it was so accessible
exactly.
that you could actually just keep going without feeling fatigue.
I'm feeling the same thing playing Metal Gear Solid, where like you play for a bit, but you get all these constant cutscenes all the time to just... So you can
motivate you to keep
going. You don't have to spend too much effort to get more of the world that this game has.
Exactly, I think it sums it up pretty well. Like in each cutscene you actually get such a nice insight on what's happening in the world, and like all the characters in the backgrounds and everything. So,
but about this series as a whole, there are no world map or any overview in that case. Like the gameplay is you play and then you get cutscenes and then you play some more.
Right.
So in other strategy games, you always choose where you should go, and like in Disgaea, you even have the place you can go around. But in this case, it's just cutscenes and strategy, RPG gameplay.
Exactly, but that doesn't hinder the experience at all. In fact, I think, just like you say, it keeps it moving, and also it's like, you know, some games you don't necessarily have to have all the smart parts to make the whole thing. Like, even though it doesn't have a hub world or anything, it does have that little small, like, the way you choose your levels is through a storybook, like a history book.
That's the really cool thing about the first game.
It's very easy to just navigate, and you just get straight to the point. And I always thought that was a really nice way of, like, except it might have slowed things down by having you choose yes or no if you want to watch a cutscene, even though you have to do it to keep progressing.
That's true, but it's still nice to... It's a bit of a cool sense of progression, I think, because you have to do it yourself. It's cool. It's this game.
I found out about this game through game trailers of all places. I mean, back then game trailers were super huge. You know, I didn't find any other communities to go to, and so I kept watching videos over there. And one day I came across this Japanese video game, which I totally didn't know what it was. I just, I thought it looked amazing, and I just didn't know anything about it. And for a short while I didn't follow it at all, because, well, not that nothing was released about it, it's just I forgot about it, I guess.
But it was very memorable, right, with the sensory
graphics. It was really beautiful.
The watercolors.
Yeah, right.
Must have been a really cool trailer.
So, yeah, and of course I was blown away, but I forgot about it, so I was waiting, and all of a sudden I just saw this on the shelf, and I realized it was the game I was checking out, and so I was like immediately jumping on eBay, because back in the day I was collecting these promo copies, which is like jewel case, smaller box copies of regular retail games, and I thought they were cool, so I figured, yeah, I'm gonna get this specific game because it's so special.
We're going to show you the promo for Valkyria Chronicles 1, because this here looks really cool, but I think the promo version looks
it's a bit cooler. Yeah. So that's why I picked it up, and so I had it sent to a friend in England because they couldn't ship it to Sweden, and my friend decided to send it to me afterwards, but there were some complications in the shipping process, and so I never really got it, and it was sent back to my friend, and she was going to come and visit me, so I asked her to bring it over, but she didn't do it then either. So in the end it just ended up being stuck there. And I figured, I'll just pick up a retail copy, because I really got to play this game.
Yeah,
and so I went to the store and I picked it up, and yeah, so it changed my life forever basically, because I really love this series. Like this, it became one of my favorite games. It still is my favorite game of all time. So and like everything from the preview that I had seen was actually there. So I was just so happy with it.
Did you have a similar experience that I had, like where you played the game a lot? Because for me, there wasn't anything in the game that took me away from the very straightforward experience. There was no time where you have to make a huge decision or put down the pacing to customize things.
No,
or
exactly.
such.
No, so what I did was I did feel the same thing, but since I was studying at the moment, I actually had to like jump back and forth between it. But I didn't give it a rest at all. I just kept going. I would when I played it, I played like a bunch of chunks of chapter at the time. But unlike you, I know. But back when you and I played it together, because I was sitting around when you were playing it, you basically had a really nice time just breezing through it because you understood a strategy before I did. Like you
I kind of broke the game.
Right, because you knew how powerful the scouts were, and so did I, of course. But what you did, you used Alicia, and Alicia is like too overpowered for anyone to understand. You can't comprehend how good she is.
She's one of the main characters in the game, and therefore she's a bit stronger.
Yeah, exactly. But not just a bit, but very much stronger. And so she could like run way further than any other class, like any other character. She could. I think she had like the grenade, like the grenade tosser, which helped out too. And and her life would refill when it's low, I think. So like she was a one-man army, and you could just like breeze through everything if you just used her. And I didn't do that. And so like battles against a boss called Silvaria, for example.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's supposed to be a bitch. And so of course I had a problem with it. I think I spent 3 hours on that match. And then when I was sitting here with Senkai, we did that together, and we just breezed through it in like 20 minutes or less. I think it was 10 minutes. Like
not even that.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Yeah, I completed that mission in 2 turns. One turn.
Ah, yeah, that's right.
One turn spending all the CPs to get to her.
Yeah, exactly.
And the next turn spending all the CPs with only Alicia to kill her.
Right, and that's so insane. What I had to do was like I had to bring up my whole army and try to like plow through all the the soldiers that were standing in front of her, and then I had to like put like 6 units around her to like aim at her, because she kept like dodging all the bullets, and so it was so insane for me. And then when I did it with you, we were just laughing all the time because I couldn't understand how easy it was. And then we got the best rank, and I was just like, oh, I guess that just happened.
No spoilers, guys. You don't kill her at that time. So
No,
when we say kill, we mean defeat the boss.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Don't worry.
We beat the level. All right. So yeah, but that's Valkyria Chronicles 1, and I think we want to mention the third game before the second in this case.
We really should, because third game right here, Valkyria Chronicles 3, Unrecorded Chronicles, it's called, is a prequel to the first game.
Oh, it's actually a prequel and sequel, because it takes place in the same time as well.
Yeah, but it starts off before the first game.
Slightly, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And so it's very cool because you get to experience the same war from the first game, but in a different perspective.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And you're part of this really cool squad comprised of just outlaws, basically, like people who have done something terribly wrong in the army and then been sent to this penalty unit. And it's just interesting to follow them for not only the reason of having a new perspective on the first war, but also to find out what they're all about, because these guys are full of mystery. Even though, in the end, I think they're not as mysterious. They're actually a really a group of nice people.
Yeah, they're awesome.
So, but it's nice to find out what they are about, like everybody.
Yeah, and it's really cool because since they're all supposed to be a hidden group that were never shown in this game, the first one, they could put so much effort to making this character incredibly good. Right, because there were no restrictions, because they were not shown at all in the first game, so they could do whatever they wanted with these characters.
Exactly. It's so amazing, because you guys remember when I mentioned the history book where you choose your level, basically the game is told to you by somebody through this history book, and the Unrecorded Chronicles is basically like the unrecorded nothing has been written in the history books. Exactly. So these guys were not mentioned in the history books because everything they're doing is like
cool.
Like a secret thing. So
in this game, you go through this game, but like you do all the things that happened at that time but were never recorded.
Right, it's super fun, and of course it doesn't mean you're doing the same thing you're doing in Valkyria Chronicles 1 in the third game. You're doing way different things, and you're doing it on like the opposite side of the country.
Brand new bosses, a brand new story. Like there's nothing similar.
Yeah, exactly.
In some ways,
you just meet people from the older games, and you the events that take place in the first game are mentioned in the third game, and so on and so forth.
Fan service is incredible in this one because it features like so many characters from the first game. They actually join you at some points.
Exactly.
And since the second game, which we'll talk about later, is a sequel to these games, you will meet those guys as kids.
Well, yeah. And they will also join you, so it's very frequently how you get like these older characters to join your party.
Awesome.
It's it's an amazing ride. I think the third game is my personal favorite, and
yeah, absolutely.
For more than one reason. I think it's a great fan service package, but it's also like by itself, like as a standalone title, I think it does a great job. It has the best story and best characters, I think.
Absolutely. And it's the longest too, for me.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely the longest. I think these guys, I mean, the first and the second game are about 20-ish hours, and the third game is about 70.
Yeah.
Like, and that's not even like that's if you're doing it fast.
Yeah.
I think I got 68 hours or so. And then there's also like a big chunk of DLC, like a gigantic chunk of DLC, where you can play as like the enemies from this game, like you get the stories from them for their like from their perspective this time, and then you get like you can play as the enemies from that game, and you can get use.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's so much DLC, but there is DLC actually, but it's all on this disc here.
Right.
So the game is translated. It's actually only released in Japan, but it's in full English, and since the DLC is on the disc, that's translated as well. So that's really cool.
There's one thing also that makes Valkyria Chronicles 3 special, and since you mentioned that this is the expanded version, there's two. In this game, you can actually choose between two love interests. It's either Rela or Imka, and what's cool about the expanded version of E2, if you're interested in Imka, you don't get this in the regular version, but in the E2 version, you actually get an epilogue with Imka as well.
Right.
Rela had an epilogue in the first game, like in the original copy, but they added a lot more about Imka and also about another very important party member, Guzzard,
that's right.
which is like one of the most touching and
really
like best written
stuff.
Chapter in the series, I think.
So that wasn't in the original version?
No, absolutely not. And that's just like that's what makes such a great game. Like just
guys,
this version.
play this one.
Yeah,
because that was awesome.
Yeah, it was an amazing part of the game.
So Valkyria Chronicles 3 is a huge game by itself, but it also have additional content for even more like replayability.
Right.
And the same goes for the love interest, because you can play the game again and see all the new cutscenes.
Right. You can actually have like two complete playthroughs.
Such a great game, this one.
Yes, and like also if you take like different routes, you actually get new party members. Like because I got what's her name? I can't remember. But you got Elliot, the guy with the hat, and I got the pyromaniac, like the girl. So that was pretty cool too. And also, I think they streamlined the menu, because the first game had that storybook, but this game has like a map where you go through like you see like the process of like how they're fighting, and then you can like choose your levels on a map, and I think that's much better too. It's more cohesive to the story.
Yeah. They also show you the progression how you're going over the map, and the missions are located on the map, so you can clearly see where they are going and such.
Right. One last thing I want to mention about Valkyria Chronicles 3 is my initial hype for it, because
of course.
So you guys have to understand, back when that was announced, Valkyria Chronicles 3, Valkyria Chronicles 2 was I think it was released in the West. So I had almost just finished. I think just a bit earlier I had finished Valkyria Chronicles 1, and so when Valkyria Chronicles 2 came out, I was so stoked for it. But I'd heard all this weird mixed feelings about it, and we'll get to that in a second. But I played it and I loved it, and so as I was playing it, Tokyo Game Show came on, and so they announced Valkyria Chronicles 3, which just like redeemed all the bad things that people have like commented on, and made it more serious and made way cooler.
Also, and the characters from the first game, which you loved so much,
were
in the trailer, right?
Yeah, and so I was just blown away. I was like, oh my god, I have to get this game. For the longest time, like I remember how guys I told you I wasn't following the first game at all. I didn't follow the second game too much either. But the third game I followed almost religiously, like I followed it obsessively. I went to all the news sites I could, all the time, every day, and I just picked up all the small like tidbits I could get. And I was literally before the news. Like I
Really?
took all the Japanese info I could find, like all the early scans, and I sent it, like I emailed it out to all the news sites, Andrea-san and like Siliconera and Destructoid. I just emailed all of all the info, and I was like, guys, you have to post about this. It's so cool. And
so if we go back, we could like find your
yeah,
name.
definitely. Just like
Cool.
it's probably gonna be credited. Like, thanks Mario for finding out about this and posting it. And so I was so stoked for it. Like I was waiting for it so patiently. And in the end, like the game wasn't localized at all. It was just, I mean, I had to wait for the fan-slated patch for so much longer.
Yeah.
But I was there
So
for like
many years.
every petition, like every like single moment we waited. I watched Japanese playthroughs of it. Like it was so hard to find Japanese playthroughs as well. But I was looking for it, and I found it. And I think Big in Japan made like a playthrough of it, and that was super cool. So, but I was waiting for it, and I mean, in the end, I didn't get it even. And so it was such a big letdown for me, because I really wanted to play it.
Yeah.
And, well, in the end we got the fan-slated patch, so I'm really thankful for it. Like, this is one of the biggest, like, thanks I can give to all these people who worked so hard. Like, I'm so thankful for you guys.
It's a really great patch.
Right, and it, like, because there's so much content in this game, there's so much DLC, there's so much, like, so many more weapons and so much info, and they translated it all without, like, hesitation.
Yeah, and they decided to translate this version,
Right,
which
the
has so
bigger
much
version.
more stuff in it. So that they did that was awesome. They could have taken the easy route and just translate the short games.
It's just so amazing, yeah. And wow, you guys, I'm so thankful for both of us.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for doing this for us. Yeah. But
Good stuff.
do you have anything else to say about Valkyria Chronicles 3 before we wrap things up?
It's the best game in the series,
Yeah.
and I really want to say that you can play them any order you want. If you want to play the third game, just go for it.
Right, since these are like a same call basically. I mean, this takes place a bit before the first game, and then it takes place simultaneously and a bit after actually.
That's true.
You can play this like any order you like, because you're gonna get fan service regardless. Like if you see a certain character in this, they're gonna appear in this as well.
Right.
So that's pretty fun.
Same goes for the second game,
Right.
Valkyria Chronicles 2. Just if you play that game, you'll find the characters in the other ones.
Right. And we haven't talked about the second game yet, so we just want to say that this. I mean, I can start off by saying that this isn't as great as the third game, but I mean,
It's a very different game in the series.
yes, it's probably the most different. Even though they're pretty close, like the third and the second game, it's a bit different because first off, they changed the setting very dramatically. They changed it to a school setting, which was one of the reasons that people got ticked off. I think it was like for foremost reason. So people get upset that they used the stock Japanese school setting, and then they also got ticked off that basically the maps and everything in this game are a bit on a smaller scale. But
Yeah.
they change up gameplay to suit these kind of maps, right?
Right, they did. It feels a lot like a cell phone game, a iOS game, in a good way, because you can play this for a short while and still feel like the sense of progression is good, because the missions are shorter, but more. And as far as the story goes, there are a lot more short skits,
Right.
like in the Tales games or in the Persona series, where you talk with your friends and other characters, and it's cool.
Right.
I guess there are really long and heavy cutscenes in this as well, but
There are.
the shorter cutscenes are pretty nice.
Exactly.
It's a cool take.
I think it's nice, because one thing they've added in this game, it's funny also, you can draw their similarities to Persona, because you have the school setting and you can also do these social link activities where you hang out with your friends. But I think it's rather well executed in this, because you have basically all of your units are part of your class, and you can hang out with any of your classmates at any time. Basically, after you use them a lot of times, you'll get a chance to hang out with them. And so you basically have 4 events with them, and one of them contains a battle. And for every event you have, you actually upgrade, like you get a potential with them. And
Awesome.
what that does in the end is like it makes you closer to them. Like you get to know them better through the text, and you also get to know them better as soldiers, like when you fight. So that was carried over to the third game, by the way, as well. But I think it was done even better there.
Yeah.
But regardless, I think that was a great addition to Valkyria Chronicles 2. And even though it was sort of made things more confusing, as you know, as we said with the first game, it was very like, you know, you could go through a straight path and you wouldn't have any problems with choices or anything. But in the second game, you actually had to make a few choices once in a while, where you were like, oh, should I spend time with this guy? Should I spend time with this guy? Or should I go to the mission?
That's the thing about this game, and also the reason I haven't finished it already, that the gameplay had a great sense of progression. But as far as the story goes, I really didn't know where I was or where I was supposed to go. Like, there's no world map or anything, so of course I knew where to go. But I didn't feel like I was going anywhere in the story.
I definitely think that was the case with the Valkyria Chronicles 2, that it had a very slow start. So I remember when I first played it, I got a bit of a weird feeling about it. I did like it. Like, I did like it because it carried over all the magic that was in the first game. But I think there was like something about how you couldn't choose more than one map variety, because in the beginning you're like stuck in the school yard.
Yeah.
And so you were sitting there, you were basically running around the same maps all the time, and it was the same kind of setting, only with differently placed enemies. And I didn't really get it. For a short while, I actually thought, like, what, is this really all there is to the game? Like, is this going to be the only map?
It felt like a tutorial or just a practice arena first.
Right, and, I mean, okay, well, I'm smarter than thinking that that would be the case, like, you'd be on the same place all the time. But, for a while, I was actually surprised, because I think, the first two chapters, you were just sitting, like, you were in the same place all the time. But then you actually get to go more places, and the whole Civil War aspect, basically, your whole party is out to stop a civil war from breaking out too much in Gallia, which is the country this is placed in. And I mean, in the end, I actually think it pulled off what it wanted to do. I think it's a great game as it is, and there's a lot of focus on multiplayer in this title because it's on the PSP. And back when Monster Hunter was such a big deal on the PSP. In Japan, they released this on the PSP. And
there
they
was
went
no multiplayer in the third one, right?
No, absolutely not, because they took that away and added more content instead. Because they had heard fan feedback that said that they weren't interested in so much in the multiplayer. They actually wanted more content, and so they fixed. Like, that was one of the many things they fixed in the third game, because there was a lot of fixing to be done from this game to this game. But we're putting this in such a negative light. But the game is such a great game, also. Like, I would not skip it by any means. It's, I mean. Sure, it can be replaced by just playing the third game, because the third game is basically this. Like, the third game has all the maps from this game and plus more. And everything.
That's what I did. Like I put this down and I played the third one, and I beat the third one, and it was so good. But now I feel like getting back into this game because I have this game to thank for the third one, really, because all the great things about this one was in the third, and I like that. So
yeah, exactly. I think
I should definitely get back to this one and find out where everything came from.
Yeah, so really don't dismiss it. It's a very crucial part of the series, and also it's fun to play. Like, it's not bad. We're not saying it's bad at all. It's great. Just to make sure you guys understand, because we're talking in this very serious tone about it, like, oh, it's this game, but it's actually a really great game. So you guys should check this out. It's Valkyria Chronicles 2 for the PSP as well. So what more can we say about these titles?
They're great games. They're made by Sega. Made by Overworks.
Exactly.
Same guys who made Skies of Arcadia.
I'm so sad that we lost the clip where you went like, "Ha, ooh, Sega, whoa!" And that's the name of like Overworks before they became Overworks. Right.
Wish I didn't know. So that was really funny.
Yeah, it was great. So that about wraps it up for Valkyria Chronicles, right? One of the greatest video game series, I think.
Amazing stuff. Made by Sega, or more specifically Overworks, right? The same guys who made Skies of Arcadia, so that's awesome for us.
And I mean, I think we mentioned this. We did mention this in the Skies of Arcadia video, that in Valkyria Chronicles you can actually find the main characters from Skies of Arcadia.
Yep.
Vice, Fina, and Aika, and of course they appear in all three games. I think maybe I'm not sure about the second one.
I'm not sure about the second one as well, but 1 and 3.
Yeah, 1 and 3.
They're in there, and we know that.
You can get them in the third game, but you get them very late. In the first game, they're there from the get-go.
Content.
Right. So when I went to get them as fast as possible because I actually wanted to get some footage of them for this video, and because I had to make this mission for it, but the mission was really easy. The problem was that I was just rushing through it because I really wanted to get the characters,
right.
And so I kept messing up because I was careless. So I kept running into stuff, and I was like,
when you want to beat a game.
right, and you just messed up things so horribly. But in the end, I actually got the characters, and so hopefully now we'll use it in this video. Actually, right now we're probably gonna post it here. So, but yeah, it's such a great time. These games are so great, and they changed my life for sure. Like as a gamer, they made me reevaluate a lot of things in games, and that's sort of what marks a great game for me. That it makes you think about games, and at such a low price.
Yeah, that's cool. Like these games are super cheap. I don't know about the third one. I guess it went up in price when the patch came out.
Yeah.
But the first and the second one are both really cheap games, and they both released in every single region. So
there's no reason not to pick it up. I think. I mean, you've already got like a brand new copy, factory sealed for $10, just about. And that was
for this game right
that was
here, which is arguably the best game, besides the third one, which isn't in English. So
yeah,
it's hard to say which one is the best. But for newcomers, play this game. It's awesome.
It's accessible and it's there for you if you want to play it.
And I can say so many times this is such a good game, but I have to say something more important. And I really want to say that this game is, with Final Fantasy X, my favorite love stories in a game.
Yeah.
So I really got to say that.
It's a lot of really nice, like, just romantic touches to both the second and the third game. The second game is, the first and the third game. The second game is more about like friendship and you know, the power of sticking together. But yeah, so fantastic games. So one last note we just want to mention here are the art books, which are probably like one of the biggest and most
really cool,
fulfilling art books ever. So
made by Udon, who makes great books.
Yeah, they translated it into English, and what's even cooler is that third game, which wasn't translated into English yet, got an English art book.
That's crazy. This got localized, the game didn't.
Yeah, so, like, I have no idea, like, why it would.
The screenshots in this book are in English. Like, what the hell?
It's just such a cool thing, because you have to understand me as well, because I was such, like, I was on the verge of, like, going insane because of how hyped I was for this game. And it didn't release in English. And this art book comes out in English, and I can get all the info about the game, like,
so
from the
crazy.
get-go. And, like, I got the first Valkyria Chronicles art book from my friend Rodney, but Senkai was the one who's responsible for getting almost all the Valkyria Chronicles 3, like, merchandise for us. So, Valkyria Chronicles 3, the art book, he bought for me, and he did it for a Christmas present, and when I got it, I just, like, I couldn't let it go. Like, I had to read through all of this.
Like, for me as a gamer, as a whole, for me, this book is such a cool thing in the gaming history because it's it's a localized art book for a game that was never localized.
It's insane because how often does that happen?
I had to buy that one.
Alright.
So there you go.
But yeah, so he got this from me, and then he also got Valkyria Chronicles 3, which was so funny because I was like, oh wow, the patch is out, I'm gonna get the game, and I was like, but I'm low on money, so I'm gonna have to wait a while. And Senka was like, I'm just gonna get it, and he just bought it. So it's super hilarious, and then we just started playing it immediately.
Yeah. Great stuff.
So, man, such great memories with Valkyria Chronicles. Valkyria Chronicles 3, especially between the two of us, has been a real ride. And
super awesome. We have more to say about this series. I will have more to say about this series when I finish the second one. Maybe I found something cool out, so
yeah, you'll
we'll
probably find
definitely
a lot
get
of
back
things.
to this.
Right, Valkyria Chronicles then. About wraps it up, right?
It does.
Alright.
So, until next time, get
Get
gaming.
gaming.